Welcome back, guys, to Jock Talk Packers edition, week number 2. Got a lot to talk about today. Brock, how we doing?
Oh, great as always.
That's right. So we've seen the Packers take care of business in week 1. We're looking forward to hopefully some more of the same in week 2. We got our Packers predictions. We'll talk a little bit about last week. We have our, of course, 2 locks and 1 upset coming for you as well, and then we'll round it out with some fantasy picks. I know, Brock, you and I both had a pretty good week. Last week we had some technical difficulties getting the video up, but I believe we're both 3-0 in our picks so far for the year.
Hey, that's a pretty good way to start the season. 3-0 in our picks.
That's right. Raise your hand if you had the Washington football team being 1-0. That's right. So hopefully we got some more of the same for you guys today. But let's just hop right into it, Brock. So Packers have Detroit coming to Lambeau,
yes.
I believe.
Yes.
So Detroit coming to Lambeau. The rocking and roaring Lambeau, that won't be there, unfortunately. But I know we talked about it last week, but what do you think the Packers have some more success with drawing the Lions offsides with the hard count this week?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it 3 or 4 times last week, and obviously fans not being there didn't really play a factor as other times. But I think Aaron's going to do what Aaron does. Like, he's going to get 2, maybe 3. I mean, now you are able to hear Aaron do the hard count, and it makes it probably even more difficult for the defensive linemen and linebackers, everybody to be like, oh, no, I can actually hear him. I don't have to guess. And, I mean, it could just throw a wrench in a lot of people's game plan. But, yeah, I expect a lot of the same this week from Aaron and the boys.
Yeah, so we were talking about it pre-show a little bit, but for the Lions, they don't have Desmond Trufant, their vet free agent cornerback signing, but they will have Jeff Okudah, the rookie. It just brings a smile to my face thinking that that Devontae Adams might have a rookie lining up on him for the second straight week. This one's a much more heralded rookie, but still a rookie nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, we seen what he did against a couple young cats in Minnesota, and it was easy pickings for him. I mean, 14 catches. I could see him putting up easily the same numbers this week with. I mean, the Lions defense isn't known as much as the Vikings defense was, but I mean, you've seen what we did to them, and I mean, Aaron's got this newfound confidence. It seemed like last week that it was just refound. Yeah, refound,
There you go.
and it's just it could be scary for not just the Lions, the league if Aaron can keep it up. Obviously, it was just one game. We all know one game doesn't make the season, but it's a promising sight to see, especially from Aaron, which has been criticized for being a bad teammate or being a crybaby and all this. When he's coming out firing on all cylinders week 1 against one of the top tier defenses in our league.
Yeah, so the Lions last week didn't give up a whole lot of rushing yards as a team to the Bears. David Montgomery, I think, had 16 carries for 60-some, 70 yards. So it's about 4 yards a carry, which is right, just a little bit above league average. The Packers, on the other hand, 158 rushing yards as a team week 1. We saw a little bit of everything. We saw a little Aaron Jones. He looked good without getting massive touches or without making that one big play. Jamal Williams looked pretty good, a little bit too much of him, for my opinion. And then Thunder Thighs himself, A.J. Dillon, had a couple of decent plays, but didn't get a lot of touches. I know Matt LaFleur said he wants to get him involved. So the Bears really couldn't run the ball in terms of the gameplay last week. But I'm expecting a big day from the Packers on the ground yet again. We may or may not hit on that a little bit later in the fantasy section, but overall, I think the Packers are going to run all over the Lions. I think they're going to pass all over the Lions. I think the defense gets more than 2 sacks. They could have had 5 or 6 sacks, but Kirky Cousins kept on scrambling out of the pocket.
Somehow.
Good on him. It was a couple of really good aggravating plays from obviously a Packers fan standpoint, but all around, I think the Packers, minus the defense giving up some garbage time yards and touchdowns, I think Packers lay on some more of what they put on Minnesota, go 2-0 overall. But not only that, but 2-0 in the division this
Yeah.
early is going to be huge.
Yeah, going 2-0 this early, like you said, in the division is key, especially, I mean, in the NFC North. I mean, every game is a struggle between any team. I mean, the Lions, don't get me wrong. I think the same thing is that we should be able to run, we should be able to pass, control the clock. Our defense should be good enough. It's less, but it's still in the conference, and it's tough. I mean, it could be a shootout for all we know. I mean, we gave up a lot of points. I think the one thing on defense, we got to shore up a little bit of the tackling. We can't let them run the ball because, I mean, the Lions ran the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much Kerryon Johnson, but AP. I mean, it's weird seeing AP in a Detroit jersey. That's probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But
over 90 yards rushing for him last week after being with the team for 2 weeks, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we can't let them get the run game started because Stafford's great on play action, and I mean, yes, Kenny Galladay is going to be out, but they have they have decent enough wide receivers that always give us trouble. Danny Amendola. I mean, they got Marvin Jones, Quintez Cephas, T.J. Hawkinson. I think that's a big name. We gotta put some rap on him this week. Otherwise, honestly, we just a couple of things we touched on right there. It could put the Packers in a predicament when it comes to managing the game clock. I mean, we can't let them run. Got to cover the tight ends. It's the Packers' weaknesses is what Lions do best. So it's going to be an interesting game to see. But I also think how well we played last week offensively. I don't think the Lions have much of a chance to stop us offensively. I think last week we punted once, maybe twice. I mean,
leggy boy, J.K. Scott. So they call him on the old Reddit machine.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll handily take care of Detroit this week.
Yeah. So I know I mentioned I think it's going to be 2-0 in the division. I got 34-13 Packers. Easy dub.
Yeah, I have 31-10 Green Bay. I think we give up nothing. I think this defense, without Kenny Clark, is going to need to really step up, and I think they do that in a big way this week. I think our secondary plays well again. I think that was one of our bright spots, minus a couple big plays later in the game, was our tackling by our corners. I mean, we mentioned it on our Twitter that Kevin King made a huge tackle, and then next play guards the deep route to perfection. And that's exactly what we need. We need the consistency out of Kevin King, and not just Kevin King, but Jair too. I mean, Jair had the pick, he had the safety, but he gave up a couple plays over the top, and he needs to be more consistent. Yes, it's like we can't have this feast or famine. We got to have a couple of those plays that are makeable. He has to make these plays. I mean, the touchdown over the top to Thielen, I mean, he was there. He's got to make the play. I mean, good ball, great catch. I mean,
he just got outran to the corner, mid corner of the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, he's relying too much on his speed, I think, still, and not taking to the fact that he might not be as fast as some of these wide receivers that he's going to face. So that being said, he needs to fix that and just find a better technique to be more consistent.
Yeah, the one thing that sticks out for me, or the one kind of key to look for, is what the Packers are going to do with their offensive line. Is Elton Jenkins going to start at right tackle again? Is he going to start at guard? Is it going to be Lucas Patrick, or are they going to put Rick Wagner at tackle? So that's the one thing for me. It sounds like secondaries, obviously, you're always a defensive back kind of person. But that offensive line for me, kind of wondering what they're going to do. It looked really good. Bach was great last week. Lindsley was great last week. Elton Jenkins was good at both tackle and guard last week. So obviously Lane Taylor being out, that's kind of the one spot, like it's something to keep an eye on for me for tomorrow's game. So with that being said, obviously we both have the Packers winning in week number 2. Again, talked about a little bit earlier, something we did last week. We have our NFL picks for so we're going to have 2 locks and an upset for you guys today. We're going to be keeping track season long. Follow along on Twitter at jock.talk or at Jock Talk Show, excuse me. And then follow along on all the rest of the social medias. Who are your picks for the week? Who are your fantasy studs or fantasy go-tos? And so with that being said, 2 locks. Number 1 for you, Brock, San Francisco 49ers play the Jets. The 49ers had a letdown last week against the Cardinals. Even without, so there's going to be no George Kittle this week. Obviously, no Deebo Samuel still. Richard Sherman is on IR, so he's out for a couple of weeks now. But with that being said, I think the 49ers go ground and pound. I think Raheem Mostert has a big game. I think Jimmy G is efficient, but unspectacular. So my first lock of the week, 49ers beat the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very safe, solid pick. I can't knock you for doing that because I easily would have took it, but we don't do that here. We don't pick the same. Try not to pick the same games. I'm going to do the Titans over the Jaguars. Jaguars had a impressive comeback win last week, but I think that ends against Tennessee. Tennessee is a tough running team. They'll control the clock. Their defense is improved. I mean, Gardner Minshew, went 19 of 20. I don't see that happening again. But I think it should be a good game, but I do think the Titans will end up winning pretty handily. It might look a little worse than it actually was.
Yeah. Game number two was a little bit harder to choose. We could always there's the games out there like Pittsburgh at Denver. There's the Chiefs playing
the Chargers.
The Chargers, thank you. I couldn't think. And then you have like the Ravens playing the Texans. I think everybody's going to pick those 3 teams to win. For me, I'm going out on a limb a little bit. He is the quarterback for this team. Wow, is the player who I picked to an MVP. I am picking the Seattle Seahawks to beat the New England Patriots.
It's a pretty good pick. I like that. I like that pick. It's a little bold, a little bit. I like the Patriots. I don't necessarily like the Patriots. I like Cam. If you watched earlier, I picked Cam to be in the MVP conversation. So far, not looking like a bad pick, but not looking like a bad pick. But no, Russ is great. I think that'll be the ultimate difference. That offense is a little more seasoned around each other. I think that should be a pretty
Russ
easy
is
one.
Just a better quarterback.
Yeah, but not everything has to do with the quarterback. But that being said, I think I'm going out on a limb on this one a little bit. I have the Colts beating the Minnesota Vikings next week or tomorrow. I think. I don't know. I have a feeling about this game. I just like it. I like the matchup. Those rookie corners. I think Phillip Rivers. I don't like Phillip Rivers, but again, another solid route running wide receiver in T.Y. Hilton against rookie corners. That's just another recipe for greatness, unless Phillip Rivers throws like 6 interceptions, which he easily could too.
It's true.
But
he could throw as many interceptions as he has kids.
Yeah, true. Which is like 14. Yeah. But I'm sticking with it. I'm saying Colts over the Vikings. It's not even upset pick. The Colts are favored in this
Yeah.
matchup.
So one of the big headlines from week one, getting off topic a little bit, was old quarterbacks looking old. Tom Brady, he looked okay, not great. Drew Brees did not look good. Big Ben played okay. I mean, it was better because his team won. But then you have guys like Aaron Rodgers who stood out, but then Phillip Rivers just didn't look good. He's known for wanting to check the ball down, throw shorter intermediate routes. So I'm kind of interested to see how that game goes. I was considering picking it, but I'm worried that Phil Rivers is gonna be the Phil Rivers who throws 4 interceptions. But my upset pick, I was down to 2 games. We talked about it pre-show. We don't want to be no wafflers, so I'm sticking with 1 game. So the New York Football Giants beat the Chicago Bears. Saquon last week. Me and my grandma almost ran for more yards than he did last week,
True.
but I don't think that can keep up. So I think Saquon has a big game. Daniel Jones looked pretty good even under having next to no time to throw against that ridiculous Steelers defense. The Bears gave up, as we talked about earlier, they gave up almost 100 yards to old Adrian Peterson. The Lions just straight up blew that game with, I believe, giving up 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns. So the Giants beat the Bears.
My upset pick of the week is the New York Football Giants will beat the Bears. Like we said this before, we don't like to pick, but we did not go over these just for the wow factor. And of course, I mean, a couple things that we've gone over today before the show. Great minds think alike, and I mean, we're feeling the exact same thing on this game, and I mean, it's good for us. I mean, Bears go 1-1 in the division. I have the Vikings go 0-2. The Lions will go 0-2. I'm going NFC North heavy in the L department, except
That's
one.
Right. I wonder who that might be. The goats of the North. So with that being said, we picked the Bears to lose. Allen Robinson is having disputes allegedly or reportedly with the Bears trying to get his contract. I do think he has a big game in fantasy or for fantasy purposes this week. He is not one of my fantasy players of the week. I will kick that off with one of our own, the green and the gold, running back number 33, UTEP, Aaron Jones. Talked about it earlier. I think Aaron tosses 2 early touchdowns. Maybe one of those goes to Aaron Jones out of the backfield. Packers go up 14-0, 14-3. And I think it's a running back kind of game from there. If it gets too out of control, obviously you stand the risk of losing some touches to Jamal Williams or A.J. Dillon. But I think Aaron Jones has one of his signature games of the season in week 2.
Yeah, my number 1 pick for fantasy this week is Raheem Mostert. Well, we touched on it earlier. It's versus the Jets. Kittle's out. Debo's out. I feel like they're going to be up early this game, and they're just going to keep pounding the rock, and Raheem Mostert's going to be getting the bulk of those carries and could get you easy, two touchdowns, we'll say. I could easily see that.
I have him. So me and you, Brock, obviously we're in a dynasty league. I have Raheem Mostert starting because I have no Chris Godwin. So Mostert starting in my flex. I think I have 3 DFS lineups, and he's in all 3 of them right now. So definitely agree. My second pick. So it was between one of the 3 Dallas wide receivers. Atlanta's defense did not look good against Russ and the Seahawks last week. So from the fantasy DFS, daily fantasy sports side of things, I went with CeeDee Lamb because he's the cheapest. So this is FanDuel pricing. He's 5,200. Gallup is 6,000. Amari Cooper is 7,000. I do own one of them in each of my 3 lineups that I do have made. But at the same time, that the Atlanta side of things looks just as good with Julio, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, Hayden Hurst, maybe. But my two fantasy studs, Aaron Jones, CeeDee Lamb.
I'm also going with a wide receiver, but not from the Cowboys. I'm going Corey Davis with the Titans. A.J. Brown is out. Corey Davis had a solid game last week against who they play. Who did they play?
The Titans played the Broncos.
The Broncos. He had 7 catches for 101 yards. A solid game for the first game of the season. I mean, you go against Jaguars, who I feel like I picked the Titans to win earlier. So I feel like the Titans will have their way with the Jags offensively. I think he'll get up a good chunk of yards, maybe a touchdown or two. It should be, like I said, I think the Jaguars aren't going to have as much success as they had week 1. So the Titans will, I mean, they could easily run the ball 30 times with Derrick Henry and call it a day, or they could try to spread it out a little bit. I think that's one thing that they're definitely trying to do. We saw a little bit week 1 is they tried to actually have Tannehill throw the ball. I mean,
40
AJ
plus.
Brown,
I believe he threw 40 plus times last week.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they're kind of trying to get the narrative away from, oh, he's just going to turn around and hand the ball off. So they like, oh, we can throw the ball too. So I mean, with AJ Brown being out, Corey Davis, I expect to have a pretty decent day. Or even you could go Jonnu Smith, who would have a solid day. But I mean, Derrick Henry. I mean, the Titans. I feel like in general, someone's going to be a safe pick there.
Yeah, for sure. So with that being said, Brock, like I said, we talked about our Packers predictions. You have 31-10 Packers. I have 34-13 Packers. My fantasy studs, Aaron Jones, CeeDee Lamb. Your fantasy studs, Corey Davis, Raheem Mostert. And then again, we both have the Giants as our upset pick. I have the 49ers and the Seahawks taking wins. You have the Titans over the Jags. And then what was your other pick that you had again?
The Colts over the Vikings.
The Colts over the Vikings. So with that being said, Brock, tell them all how they can find us on all the social medias.
You can find us on Twitter at Jock Talk Show, Instagram, jock.talk, Facebook, Jock Talk Show. Find us on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you stream your podcasts. You can find us there. Follow us on YouTube. I would like to say, first off, we got 100 likes on Facebook. Let's keep it going. I mean, start somewhere, but like it, share this video. I mean, keep passing it around. We want to keep this going.
That's right. So with that being said, as always, Brock, go Pack go. We'll talk to you guys early next week for a review show, so we can just be all excited about how Aaron Rodgers went absolutely apeshit again. So with that being said, talk to you guys later.